You are listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast, a podcast by diehard fans for fans. Mark covers all things Penn State football and the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as anything related to the sports and fitness world. Tune in weekly to listen to a couple of dedicated fans talk about these topics without filters. Thank you for listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast.
What's up, Steeler Nation? Welcome to the Mark Lesko Podcast. I am your host, J. Rod, and this is Steelers Central Playoff Edition, baby. Guys, my very first season doing this podcast for the Mark Lesko Podcast, and we're in the playoffs. That's pretty cool. Let's go take that in. You know, the journey that we got here, you know, back with the first game against the Jets, that ridiculously offensive crazy roller coaster ride back and forth game when Rodgers went for over 300 some yards, 4 touchdowns. And we're like, well, is this the version we're getting of the 41-year-old? Fantastic. Sign me up. And then we took on the Seahawks, and then we kind of got smashed in the mouth a little bit. But then you then took on the Patriots, and we saw that was the first game for Derek Harmon. I know he had to get into the season a little bit, but the turnovers were there. The rushing defense was there. And, you know, the injuries that we had throughout the season, the issues with the on the field, off the field stuff, and people getting suspended. It was a crazy season. I mean, for this to be my first one, I like, man, the superstar that comes into the season, the narrative in which we were getting so many players, and we never do those things in the offseason last year between Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith, and of course the big ticket DK Metcalf. And knowing that we got Derek Harmon in the draft this year, and he has been everything we were hoping for and then some. Guys like Cam Hayward and TJ, you know, they kind of came out of the gate, you know, wanting their deals getting done, and then, you know, by the third or fourth game, they were ready. And I think, you know, you look at the turning points of the whole season. We had the Minnesota game in Ireland. That was such a huge turning point. We really didn't know what we were up until that point, and we really showed up in every facet of the game. And then we kind of went around 500. We'd had a couple of losing games too, and almost made it really tough for that 4-1 start. And then we were like 6-6. And by the time we were 6-6, you know, we lost to the Bills at home, 26-7. The fire Tomlin chants rained down throughout all of Pittsburgh Nation, and rightfully so. And that lit a fire under them. That was the time when they turned it all on. I think that was the games we played the Bengals, we beat them, and then we took on the Lions. You know, we beat them. We won against the Dolphins, and then once we got the Dolphins game, I think we were 9-6, and we were securing our winning season. And there was Mike Tomlin's great regular season, you know, accomplishment again. It's like, you know, you always got to check that box off, you know, once the Steelers season starts. But this right here is what it was all leading to. The Sunday night game with the Ravens to win it all. The bad taste that you would have had in your mouth with that team going what they did to us last year, that was so devastating. We all went into that game knowing that we were going to get stomped on. And for them to run 299 yards on us in a playoff game, it was just embarrassing. I couldn't have felt more worse as a Steeler fan. And then again, in the offseason, everything changed. We had a direction. We wanted to be better. We put ourselves in contention. We were absolutely playing like a playoff team by that Lions series. And yeah, it was great to see them show up when it mattered. We've always seen this. But now, folks, it is here. The games that led to the playoffs. The journey could not be bigger and more highly anticipated for all the storylines that we have going into it. Again, Aaron Rodgers, potentially last season, potentially. They say they want to sign him back, so it doesn't sound like he doesn't want to give up just now. But, you know, it's always the hypotheticals are always there. Like the circumstances, 42 years old, can he continue to do this? And so far, that's what it's been the case. He can do it, but it's always like what is the future? Do you want to hold on to this until that future shows up? Because if it can work, I would love nothing more than to have a caliber of his talent to be in this team for as long as possible. And again, what we all have to remember is there was about 75% of us who did not want him to come into Pittsburgh. We remember that. And by the fourth game, I do remember having to eat my words, like many of us fellow Steelers. I mean, we know this guy is so important for this game. He is so important, not just for like the playoffs, but he's just important for football. The kind of football he plays is what we will talk about for years to come. Like this guy he's a folklore now. Everyone will say Aaron Rodgers. That does sound like the football name that you're always going to remember. And he was a part of this culture. That's what you can say. He went out in his career as a Pittsburgh Steeler. And right now, his talent is the thing that we always will remember for because he got us to this point. He is our MVP, no matter what Kenneth Gainwell got. If we did not have Aaron Rodgers in this season, guys, we wouldn't be talking about this. So, talking about it now, the Houston Texans. Boy, oh boy, guys. Get ready, strap yourselves in because I've got the stats, and it's pretty ridiculous. So, if you look at this team offensively, this is fascinating. I want to point this out. I don't want to talk about the defense. We all know about the Texans defense. Number one in the regular season. They're basically top 5, top 3, number 1 in almost every major category. But here's where it's interesting. I'm showing you the offensive stuff. Look at this. So if we scroll down, the Texans separate us offensively by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. And in between us, there are 2 teams that actually, have good reputations for, offensive schemes. Others, they're not that great this year. But look at this. Texans are sandwiched right in between the Bengals and the Cardinals. Even the Ravens had a better offense than the Houston Texans. They had 5,559 total yards. And look at this, guys. 51-96. What is that differential? 360, 63? Yeah, we only separate us by 363 yards of total offense this season. Now, if we go back up here and we click the passing game, once again, scroll down. Look how much is separating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams this time. The Texans with C.J. Stroud, 3707 total passing yards. The Steelers, 3440. Now, again, I'm trying to do that real quick. 277 or 277 yards just separate us from the Texans. If we do yards per game, the Texans, again, they only separate by several teams. 218 passing yards a game, and the Steelers are 202. We only distance ourselves by 16 points. And I'd like to think that our schedules were almost identical in terms of strength, in terms of our division, and what we had to go through. Now, rushing, again, this should be, they don't separate that much different. Yeah, I was going to say we should not be that much different from the Texans. They're 1852. We are 1756. Just a little under 100 yards differential a game with the rushing attack. What does that make it? That makes it 108 yards a game they rush, and we do 103. We're just separated by 5 yards. This, and again, here's the points. I think this is the most fascinating one. We separate from the Houston Texans by a just tiny margin of 7 points. They average 0.4 points more a game offensively than we do. So I guess the point I'm trying to make with all of this is, yes, this defense is tough. It is. But their offense is not showing that they are going to actually be that much more of a threat than ours. And it's going to be in Pittsburgh. So can the Steelers show that they can be just as good a defense as the Texans? In our stadium, I think that is a possibility. That is a huge assurance that they could show up and be just as good defensively in one game than they are in a regular season. Again, everyone loves to point out their regular season stats. Yes, and that makes a factor as to how you got here. But once you're in the playoffs, 0-0. Doesn't matter. Stats are thrown out the window and you start anew. So, but knowing that what they did in the regular season put them in this position, the Steelers, guys, if you look at this team defensively, us, if you are saying every single name between Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig should be involved in this very much. Jalen Ramsey, he'll be 100%. Brandon Eccles is back. He should be 100% for this game. Let's see. We have Peyton Wilson, and you also have Keanu Benton, had a really big last couple of games. They're really starting to come on. So I'm not saying that all these guys, they're going to do something spectacular or be, the biggest names, but we do have a shot. This team has enough players to do something against that offense. The offense is not the most impressive thing about Houston. It's the defense. So again, what we're looking for, guys, the 5 things. The number one thing we're looking for in this game, to win this game tonight, you are going to have to match whatever the other team's defense does. If Houston does something, you have to match it. And I don't see why that's not a possibility in this stadium. Acrisure should be rocking. They should be as loud as humanly possible. The first home game in 5 years, technically 5 years. It really was 8 years because in COVID, you weren't in the stands. Even though it was a home game, you weren't there. You will be this time. So please make sure you're as loud as possible. Make sure this defense can hear it, and they are going to feel it. So, and number 2, I think you need to establish the tight end passing game. I know you've seen it last week a couple of times with Pat, but we need to make sure that there are plan Bs ahead of this game to ensure that there's going to be some form of a passing game. They have to attack, and they have to attack with tight ends. I'm not saying I don't trust Calvin Austin. I don't say I trust Scotty Miller or Adam Thielen or Marcus Valdez-Scantling. I'm not saying I don't trust those guys. I'm simply saying that they have to make sure that the tight ends are ready for this game, because if the wide receivers are swallowed up, which, again, the defense for the Texans is going to do everything it can to make sure this game is wrapped up completely. They are ready for this game. These guys are fighting for relevancy in their entire existence. They have been a team since 2002. They have not cracked the AFC Championship. I don't think they have ever gotten that far. So they want to make a statement with this. And CJ Stroud and what's his name? Oh, is it Ryan, the head coach? I don't want to say it wrong. I think it's Ryan, right? He was is it the offensive or defensive coordinator for the 49ers? He went down to Houston, and now he is a part of that organization. He's a great coach. I mean, I am impressed with what this guy has been able to turn around with this team in 2 years, ever since CJ Stroud came in. This guy has this team as hungry and as dedicated and as focused as anyone can get. But this is Pittsburgh, guys. This is a huge statement that they can make, Pittsburgh, that is, for them to remember who they are, what they're there for. These guys own this type of sport. This is the kind of sport that you get tough, that you get mean, that you get nasty. And no one, again, as you're a Steelers fan, you know how important it is to play that game with that type of attitude. And they got to show it. These guys have been hungry. You don't think that this team doesn't remember the last time that they faced each other. You don't think they don't remember that. Believe me, they do. In fact, it is full circle, guys, that I actually have this podcast with Mark, because it was the game against Houston where they got embarrassed down in Houston that I just went on a rant on my Facebook page, and Mark caught me on there, and he says, man, you have a lot to say. I was always talking about making a podcast for the Steelers. Would you like to host it? So here I am, guys, 2 years later, and here we are going against these guys again. It's a full circle moment for me, so it's very surreal. But again, they have to establish that passing game with the tight ends. Pat, get involved. Jonnu, be there. I know Darnell's out. It's tough, but they're going to have to find every which way they can to keep these guys involved, because if you can figure out this passing game against this defense, guys, this team can make some noise. So number three, again, Boswell, last week, we didn't talk about it, but his extra point was blocked by the defense. Everyone says about, oh, man, he missed it. How could he do that? But it was actually blocked. So knowing that information, I don't put a whole lot of hex on Chris Boswell or think that there's some bad juju going on with him or something like that. He is going to be ready for it, and I can't wait to see what he does in this game because, believe me, the score is going to – I'm telling you my predictions for the score, it's going to involve him for very much in this game. So I hope that he's ready. Make sure that the special teams is clicking on all cylinders. Waitman, if you punt it down to the 2-man. Chris, hit everything over 60. This is everybody's riding on this for the special teams. Danny Smith and company, I know they always prepare, but this is going to be a key factor in making this game a winning game. So number 4, I guess what I want to see is I just want to see them establish control of the clock. I want them to have the control of the clock. I want them to have time possession be their friend. I want them to make these drives 6, 8, 10 minutes if you can and just drag it out. The more that team doesn't have a chance to score on you and the defense gets tired, that's when you can take advantage of it. You keep that up the entire game, this defense will start to feel it. And again, the elements are telling you that this game is going to be what, 20, 25 degrees or something like that tonight. It's going to be very cold. So this team, I know we don't want to try to say, oh, well, weather shouldn't play a factor, but it should in this particular instance. A lot of these guys play in a dome. These guys are not going to have that, comfort. They're going to be out there feeling it. And they don't play these types of teams very often. Again, it's been almost 3 years since they have played these guys, and they don't play each other on the schedule very much. So in the end, I'm saying try your darndest to maintain time possession because when they're out there in the cold on the field all the time, they're going to feel it at some point. So number 5, I'm not saying just win. I'm saying always put yourself in the best position to win. Just make sure everybody is buttoned up, coaching staff. And just make sure that they don't make mistakes. Take advantage of everything you can see. I mean, can we see a turnover or 2 in this game? It's very possible. They do fumble the ball. They do. Between Chubb, who we do know, Nick Chubb is a former Brown. We are familiar with this guy. And is it Mark Waters? Is that his last name? I think that's what it is. They have the running back core they have. They could easily give the ball off. We could pressure C.J. Stroud. I don't think that the Texans' offensive line is the strongest thing about them. So again, guys, rip through those holes as best you can. Get at CJ. I know he's a quick guy, so we're going to see what this team is really made of come for this playoff. So to end this all, guys, I'll give you my prediction for this game. This is it. Again, there's no looking back. There's no preseason. I didn't predict this, so it's just going to go off what I feel. So tonight, in the first quarter, we are going to have it. We're going to kick a field goal. They're going to kick a field goal. That'll end the first quarter. Will be 3-3. Then we're going to come alive a little bit. We're going to score a touchdown. They're going to kick a field goal. And I think we are going to kick another field goal to end the half. So it's going to be 13-6 Pittsburgh going into the half. Now, this is not going to be a big point game. This is going to be ugly because, again, defensively, I think we're going to be as hungry as ever, and so are they. So this is going to be kind of an ugly affair. So going into the second half, 13-6, I'm going to predict we are going to get the ball. They're going to get the ball at the half. And they're going to go out and they're going to they're going to tie the game up. It's going to be 13-13. And then I think we're going to kick a field goal with Boswell again, 16-13. They are going to go up 20-16 going into the fourth quarter. We're going to have the ball. And I'm going to say we are going to score a touchdown. And we're going to make it 23-20. And I think that the Texans are going to kick a field goal to tie it with 7 minutes left. We're going to get the ball, but they're going to get it back. But we're going to pin them back. So there's going to be 4 minutes left to be tied 23-23 still. They're going to try to make something happen, and I think we're going to pick them off. I think we're going to have an interception, and I think it's going to go to none other than Jalen Ramsey. So we're going to get the ball back at the 50-yard line with about 3.5 minutes left. So we're going to eke and we're going to milk that clock as much as we possibly can. We're going to make slow progress downfield, 4 yards a carry. Basically, we're just going to push Jalen and Kenneth all the way. It's going to go all the way to the 2-minute warning. We're going to have the ball on the 35-yard line. It's like still far enough where we can miss it, but we want to secure the first down to get into field goal range, comfortable for Chris Boswell. We'll make some stops. We're going to make some pushes, and we're going to get down to the 20-yard line with 44 seconds left. And I think we're going to make them use up all their timeouts. And when Chris connects with the 30-yard field goal attempt, he is going to make it. It's going to be 26-23, and they're going to have the ball back with 35 seconds left. They're going to push and push. They're going to make it close. They're going to try and tie it up to take it into overtime. And I think it's just not going to happen. We're going to stop and stuff CJ Stroud, and TJ is going to be the one to sack him at the end. And we win this game, folks, 26-23. So there's my prediction for this game, guys. This right here, folks, is what it's all about. Getting to this point, getting into that stadium and waving this and being as loud as we possibly can be. So I ask you guys who are going to this game tonight, who are watching at home, just cheer your heads off and finally end the curse and get your first playoff win in 8 years. I will see you guys after this game. I hope you enjoy it. And until that time, guys, here we go, Steelers.